In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to kill it at the thrift shops.
How to wreck shop.
My name is Phil. If this is your first time to my channel and you want to learn how to work from home and be your own boss, buying and reselling on eBay, and make sure you subscribe to this channel right now for tons of resources and free information on how you can do so. Don't forget to hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss anything, guys. Now with that out of the way, let's get into the topic today. How can you crush it at the thrift shops? Typical thrift shop is divided into approximately 18 to 20 parts or sections or categories or whatever you want to call them. But the key to wrecking a thrift shop is to be able to get something from every category. Now in the beginning of this game, this is the best way to play it. In other words, right now I sell men's clothes pretty much exclusively. But in the beginning, coming up in this game, I sold everything. I sold, I sold china. I sold plush toys. I sold toys. I sold bedding. I sold, sporting goods. I mean, you name it, I sold it all. And that was the way that I was actually able to come up, able to keep enough money, inflow coming in, from day to day to basically make my efforts worth my time. Because, in the beginning, I was spending most of my time out there on the streets, out there at the thrift shops, and I would spend, 9, 10, 15 hours a day just on the road or in the thrift shop. And for me, and for anyone for that matter, your time, you've got to be compensated for your time. And, what would happen is in the beginning, I knew a lot about sporting goods. And that was sort of my niche in the beginning was I did a lot of sporting goods. But I quickly found that, you can't, I would end up having, I would hit like 10 or 15 or 20 thrift shops in a day. And at the end of the day, I would have, a nice pile of sporting goods. But the thing is, as I started doing this more and more, it started to sort of hit me. I'm basically leaving tons of money on the table. And reason being, because there are all these other categories that I'm basically just glossing right over. So I know that if I'm picking up money at the sporting goods section, that there's going to be money, in the plush toys section. There's going to be money in the bedding section. There's going to be money in the shoe section, so on and so forth. So what I did was I began to educate myself on any particular area, one at a time, of any thrift shop. And, as time went on, I basically, realized that the biggest and the largest portion of any thrift shop is clothing. So I sort of made it my goal to get into men's clothing exclusively because that was probably, it's approximately 70 to 80% of any thrift shop out there. So, if you can get into clothes, what it basically is really going to guarantee is that you have a steady stream of inventory. That being said, what I want to do is break down basically these 18 sections and how you can kill them. Now, a really good section to make really good money is in the glass, fine china, and stemware section. Wine glasses, shot glasses, sherry glasses. They're margarita glasses. The list goes on, and then there's crystal and there's fine china, so that there's a whole section right there. And that may be something that, interests you, something that you're into already. So, for you to go into, that particular area is going to be good for you. And that's what's good about this. What I'm going to do is sort of go down the list here, and what you should do as a seller, as a new seller, is to sort of find, where you fit, where your knowledge base is most beneficial to you, where you're going to be able to utilize your knowledge base, in other words, in this game to come up quicker, because it's all about information, guys. I know you guys know that. Knowledge is power, and the more the better for you, the more money you're going to make, and the further you're going to go in life in general. So now, starting with the glass and the stemware section, fine china is a really good area to go into because it's really lucrative. The money is there, that's for sure, and the competition levels are fairly low in that game. So some of the good fine china, just to get you guys a little jump start, would be Lenox. Lenox is a good brand. Wedgwood's a really good brand. There's another one, Noritake, I want to say. Noritake, I believe it's called. But these are three really good, fine china brands. And if you find them, you definitely want to jump on them. Look them up, see what you have, depending on price. But it's a really good, section to get into: fine china, stemware, mugs, coffee mugs, Starbucks mugs, and that sort of thing. All right, guys. Next section, and often overlooked by resellers, is the caps and hats section. And in the caps and hats section, it's usually a pretty small section, and many times it's sort of hidden away. So you have to sort of look for it, which can be really good and beneficial to you as a reseller, because a lot of people, number one, they're not looking for hats or caps, and number two, they can't find them. So as they're out there shopping, they just sort of gloss over them because they never even notice that they're there. But a good tip for, buying and selling caps and hats, look for, as far as like hats, like fedoras and that type of thing, men's dress hats, you want to look for beaver fur hats. And they rate them with X's, and the higher the X, or in other words, the more X's, the better the hat. 100X is really good, 10X, 500X, so on and so forth. So beaver fur is really good. Also cashmere. Yes, cashmere hats are excellent for resale. Now when it comes to caps, snapbacks, of course the old school snapbacks are hot, but they're not as plentiful as they used to be. Matter of fact, I'm gonna do an upcoming video on snapbacks and how to sell them and how to make money, because I have a huge collection personally that I've actually been holding on to for over 10 years. Yeah, that's right, over 10 years, because when I got them, back when I picked them up, they weren't as hot as they are now. And I knew that the day would come when, they would be hot and people would want them. And actually it took a decade, but hey, that day is here, and that's great. It's gonna be a great video, because like I said, I basically have them boxed and they've been packaged away for a decade. And I'm going to do that in an upcoming video. I'm gonna open that box and we're gonna go through it online, with you guys, my YouTube subscribers. So that should be a pretty good video coming up. But beyond that, you wanna look for snapback hats, the old school snapbacks. You also wanna look for the modern hats. What you're looking for are modern team, sports team hats. You want to go with teams that are trending, teams that are obviously they're winning right now, Super Bowl teams, playoff teams. So keep your eye out for things like that, and then make sure you do your research on top of that, so that you're not buying worthless hats, because there are a lot of worthless ones out there. All right, guys, next section, and very relevant to the time that we're in right now, the holiday season, is winter coats and jackets. Usually they have their own sort of specific section in the thrift shops. In other words, there's the men's clothing, women's clothing, and then there are the winter clothes. So go and check out the winter clothes. That's the brand name game. Brooks Brothers is killer. Pendleton, as far as nice wools, is really good. There's Harris Tweed, there's Tommy Hilfiger, there's Polo, Ralph Lauren. I mean, it's a brand name game on that one. In particular, keep your eye out for down-filled coats and jackets. Also, winter ski jackets, especially the vintage ski jackets. Those are really hot right now. Bright colors. A lot of times they have a chevron on the front or across the back. Those sort of puffy, puffer type jackets, those are really hot right now. So keep your eye out for that section, and make sure you don't pass it up, because you definitely could be leaving money on the table. All right, guys, the next section that you don't want to pass over is the electronics section. Make sure you're checking out the electronics, because there's a lot of money to be made in electronics, and that's in the newer electronics and the older electronics. Vintage electronics in particular is a very good is a very good niche to get into. The only drawback with it is they're not as plentiful as they used to be. Back when I was coming up in this game, you could find vintage electronics everywhere. And I even found some really, really cool vintage electronics back in the day. One time I actually found, no lie, an FBI spy
video tape recorder. It wasn't a video recorder, it was actually a tape recorder. And it was huge. I mean, the thing was like,
it was like this big, it's supposed to go like, I guess in your breast pocket or whatever. And it had the earpiece and everything. But it was for spies. It was really crazy. It was real sneaky sort of setup. I never seen anything like it. I think I ended up getting, around $200 or $250 for it, but it was really cool. But vintage old record players, old cassette decks, 8-track players, obviously, things like that. So keep your eye out for those things. And even if they're not working, they're still worth money, because people are willing to fix those things. And if you find the right vintage electronics, you can be looking at thousands of dollars and easily hundreds of dollars. So don't pass up that electronics section. Okay, guys, next section that you can make some really good money is the small appliance section, the kitchen small appliance kitchen section. Or the kitchen small appliances section, whatever. But in particular, coffee makers are really hot right now. So keep your eyes out for coffee makers. But there's toasters, and there's microwaves, and there's blenders, and there's there's Ninja Blend, and there's food processors. There's a million different things. So, and the thing is, any one of these things can be worth really good money. But like I said, it just for time's sake, saving time in this video, I'm just going to throw out a couple of good items that you can look for in the small appliance section. DeLonghi is a really good brand, especially for coffee makers to look for. Cougar is a good coffee maker brand and espresso machine brand to look out for. Also, Bunn is a really good one, Bunn. They make really high quality. They do a lot of commercial. I think it might be almost everything they make is commercial, if I'm not mistaken. But they could also offer a consumer line. But those are really 3 good brands that you want to watch out for, because you can pick up some quick cash really easy with any one of those coffee or espresso makers. All right, guys. Now, this section is passed up by many people, and myself included. I'm definitely guilty of this one. Passing up on the art and picture frame section. And I say picture frames because a lot of the art, a lot of the picture frames are worth more than the art itself. So, I mean, art is subjective. And unless you're just a really good art buff and you know exactly, what's money as far as which artists are selling and which artists are not, then that's going to be a tough section. But I definitely think that it would merit, you going and diving into it deeper and doing some really hardcore research in that area. They're very plentiful in almost every thrift shop you go into. And like I said, if the art's not worth money, then the frames are money. Like I said, and you can go down, and if you've ever priced picture frames, you know what they cost. So that's a section that you might want to look more into. Don't pass it up, guys. This is the end of part 1 of this video. It actually got a little bit long, so what I'm going to do is just break it into 2 parts. I will be uploading the follow-up to this tomorrow. If you like this video, guys, make sure that you check out this video here on finding your niche, on basically figuring out what it is that you want to buy and sell. What's the best thing for you to buy and sell? It's more expounding on what I've talked about here. So if you like this video, then check that one out. Make sure that you subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, if you want to learn how to work from home and be your own boss. Thanks for tuning in for another video, guys. I appreciate your attention. I hope this video has brought you great, tremendous value. And if it has, make sure you give it a thumbs up. And until my next video, you guys be good. Get out there, crush it on eBay.